And we're live.
In the spirit of respect, authenticity, and reconciliation, the town of Slave Lake honors and acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of Sawridge First Nation within Treaty 8 territory, home to Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have occupied these lands since time immemorial. We'll now call this meeting to order. Councillor Adams.
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
All right, any discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. The minutes of the previous meeting, April 18th, are presented.
Just a note that I was not present for this meeting and it has me recorded as present.
Do we?
Okay, I will make a motion then to accept the minutes as amended.
Okay. Any discussion?
You weren't here.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yes. Counselor Gramlich.
Oh, yes.
I will make the motion to adopt the meeting minutes from April 18th as amended.
Any discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Minutes of May 2nd presented. Counselor Ferguson.
And it has me listed as calling the meeting to order when it was Mayor Ward, I believe, that called the meeting to order.
Interim Mayor Ferguson.
Yeah.
Which was never a thing.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes as amended.
All right, any discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Okay, let's move on. Reports and new business.
Oh, you turned my microphone
Darcy.
on for me. Jason, thank you. Good evening. I am here with the spring 2023 external community FCSS grants. We have $35,000 allocated this year for external grants in FCSS. We did extend the application deadline by 3 weeks because applications were slow to come in. We did receive 5 applications for FCSS grants, of which 3 are eligible for FCSS funding. The Lesser Slave Forest Education Society has applied for their EnviroQuest camp. It's for youth ages 11 to 15, and it works on personal skills and team building. The Slave Lake and Area Women's Wellness Society has applied for $5,000, and they have been doing Women's Wellness Weekly with self-improvement and self-help and bringing in different organizations for presentations. And the Lesser Slave Bird Observatory Society applied for community outreach programs. This will help to increase their capacity for their special event days and provide some community development within our community. Stage North Association, Lesser Slave Bird Observatory applied for 1,750. Stage North Association applied for an entertainer during Riverboat Days for $5,000. And the Slave Lake and District Chamber of Commerce applied for their community block party for part of their entertainment that they're going to offer, and they had applied for $15,000. These grant applications now go to a provincial coordinator. FCSS has changed their structure now, where we don't just decide that these fit under the parameters. We now get approval or from the government saying that yes, this fits within the parameters, or no, it does not fit within the parameters. And so I reached out to our program development support and went through these applications with her. And the 3 that do qualify for FCSS funding is the EnviroQuest camp, the women's wellness, and community outreach. So out of the, I'm jumping around here. Out of the $27,600 that was applied for, $7,600 is eligible for FCSS funding. And it is my recommendation, based on recommendation from the province, that we fund the 3 that are eligible.
Counselor Adams.
Just to refresh my memory or how this works. In the past, we used to update or top up more than what our required funding commitment was from the town in order to get the dollars from the province. Did we do that this year, or were we doing the minimum? I'm just wondering how much is restricted and how much was unrestricted.
80 restricted, 20% is not. We kept our budget the same as before, but we are expecting an increase from the province this year. And so the amount that we top up now is a little less because we have to match the 20% to what our increase is. We're just waiting to hear what that increase is.
Thank you. So that 20, since no one else.
Continue
is- No one, that 20% that's unrestricted, do we still try and keep that within the parameters of the program or is that outside of that?
Yeah, it's still reportable.
Thank you.
Oh,
Nope, you got questions?
I
You
have a
got questions?
question.
Go.
I noticed that some of the funding that is provided to the Women's Slave Lake and Area Women's Wellness Society also occurred in the previous year.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if it's for a new project or not. The only reason why I'm concerned is that I think it's a great project, but I just don't want someone to rely on like funding to run their program when FCSS is more of like a one-time thing. So I'm just wondering if it's a different
They're allowed 3
Project.
consecutive years.
three
of funding.
consecutive years.
Yes.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and then they also, when they apply, they provide a contingency plan. How are you going to continue this program once your FCSS funding is no longer qualified?
Okay.
And now they are a registered society and they're going to be applying for grants.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I just was concerned with groups that end up, I see on the list that you provided, thank you, that has multiple.
Yeah.
Some of these groups have multiple years and that's the one I picked up.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Counselor Adams?
Move that council approve $7,600 in external community grant FCSS funds for spring 2023 as follows. Lesser Slave Lake Forest Education Society, $850. Slave Lake and Area Women's Wellness Society, $5,000. Lesser Slave Bird Observatory, $1,750 for a total of $7,600.
A motion is on the floor. Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy.
Okay, next report on your agenda is Economic Development Week. The purpose of this report is to proclaim, originally, we were going to proclaim this week, May 8th, 12th, as Economic Development Week in Slave Lake. Due to the ongoing wildfire emergency, I'm suggesting that we push the proclamation of Economic Development Week from May 8th to 12th to June 12th to 16th. A little bit of background. The International Economic Development Council created Economic Development Week in 2016 to recognize the work that economic development organizations and professionals do in their communities. They have continued this tradition to promote and raise awareness for local job creation programs, advance career development opportunities, and improve communities' quality of life everywhere. Since starting this initiative, over 450 international ECDev Week campaigns have generated millions of impressions, hours of media coverage, and hundreds of news stories generating awareness for EDOs globally. Economic development is as important as ever, and we recognize how economic developers are bolstering municipalities and helping Alberta's communities recover. Alberta municipalities and economic developers Alberta are partnering to amplify this important work by inviting mayor and council to officially proclaim, once again, moving to June 12th to 16th as Economic Development Week in Slave Lake. More than 50 communities participated in our 2022 ECDev Week. Involvement in the 2023 event shows Slave Lake values economic development and helps support the work the Economic Development Department does throughout the year. So for discussion, this is a sample proclamation that was developed by Alberta municipalities for this event. So whereas communities rely on ECDev professionals to promote economic well-being and quality of life for communities like the town of Slave Lake, that means coordinating activities that create, retain, and expand jobs in order to facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And I won't go into the rest of it. You can read it yourself. There is a typo on the next one, whereas economic developers, not developments, stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of new businesses, et cetera, et cetera. So the options before council today are officially proclaim June 12th to 16th, 2023 as Economic Development Week in the town of Slave Lake, or option 2, do not proclaim Economic Development Week for the year of 2023. The communication strategy. So a series of targeted Facebook posts for each day of the week, highlighting some of the town of Slave Lake economic development initiatives. I've also created an engagement project, which could be launched on engageslavellake.ca to ask residents feedback on what they think the economic development opportunities and challenges are. I've also drafted a draft press release, which would also be released after the proclamation. So I'm going to direct council to look at the back of this report, and you'll see the draft Facebook posts that I've created for this event. There's a total of 5 of them, one for each day of the week. It would start on the Monday and end on the Friday. The first post is kind of just introducing ECDev Week and why we're doing it. The second post is a call out for feedback from residents to visit engageslavellake.ca and click on the ECDev Week project to provide their feedback on what you think the town should be working on and prioritizing as it relates to economic development. Number 3 will be highlighting our rural renewal stream and what it does. Number 4 will be State of the Lake. Number 5 will be our Economic Development Advisory Committee. On the final page, you'll see the questions I pose for the Engage Slave Lake project. So residents will be asked to answer the following 5 questions in a short answer format, so they can provide as much or as little feedback as they want for each of the following questions. What are you most excited about when it comes to the economic prospects of the Slave Lake region? Where do you see opportunity for growth in the local and regional economy in the next 10 years? Second question, what are you most concerned about when it comes to the economic prospects of the Slave Lake region? Question 3, what are some of the economic development efforts or initiatives you think the town of Slave Lake should undertake or pursue in the near and long term? Question 4, how can the town of Slave Lake better position itself as a great place to live, work, do business, and raise a family? There's a typo there. And do you have any thoughts on how the town of Slave Lake can better collaborate with local businesses and industry to address potential concerns? So that's the overall communication strategy as it relates to ECDev Week. So once again, the motion in front of you is move to be it resolved that the town of Slave Lake, Alberta recognizes June 12th through June 16th, 2023 as Economic Development Week and reminds individuals of the importance of this community celebration, which supports expanding business opportunities and making lives better. Open for questions.
Councillor Hughes.
Just wondering if there might be any benefit as well to, I know we want to send everybody to the Engage Slave Lake, but just any other options, you know, utilizing the Chamber of Commerce or Community Futures as well for their business contacts for this. I would really love to get real engagement on these questions that we are asking. So just any other method that we can do that and kind of sending them to the site would be great to see. Just food for thought.
Great point. So in leading up to June 12th to 16th, I'll arrange for meetings with both the Chamber of Commerce and Community Futures, and we'll discuss how we can collaborate on this to get as much feedback as humanly possible.
Okay. Yeah, that would definitely be nice to see. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we can get it sent out from the Chamber of Commerce perspective to the membership, so that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it would be nice to just really try to dig in and get everybody's actual engagement on this topic. And I would love to, I can't wait to see what they say. So if no one else has a comment, I'll also make a motion, but no. Okay. Move to be it resolved that the town of Slave Lake, Alberta recognizes June 12th to 16th, 2023 as Economic Development Week and reminds individuals of the importance of this community celebration, which supports expanding business opportunities and making lives better.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor? And that is carried. I don't actually have to make the proclamation, do I? Okay.
Yeah, yes, please.
That's a lengthy proclamation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've got a couple of service levels for you. The first one is dust control. Dust control involves an application of a dust control agent to gravel roads to minimize the dust. The dust suppressant we use in town is calcium chloride. The calcium is added to the gravel to retain the moisture and weigh down dust particles. It also acts as a road stabilizer. When added to gravel, it helps bind the smaller particles to the aggregate together to tighten up the road surface. It also helps to seal the road and minimize penetration in the water when it rains. Repeating this process every year builds a better base and surface for better quality of road. All the roads in town are part of the dust control program. There's approximately 17 kilometers of gravel road, excluding alleyways. Every road in town receives one application each year. And dust control is commonly mistaken for sweeping on paved roads. They're two different service levels. In the spring, until the frost is out of the ground, we try not to disturb the roads as little as possible. This differs from roads that are treated, that don't have any treatment, sorry. Treated roads form a hard crust and minimizes the soft spots and prevents the frost boils. Disturbing these frost boils opens up the crust and spreads quickly and builds larger spots that are more of an extensive repair. Once the dust control is out of the, once the frost is out of the road and the roads firm up, usually the end of May or to early June, the roads are shaped up by a grader in preparation for gravel. Gravel can typically be laid mid to late June. So we get a gravel contractor in and they bring in the gravel and spread it down the road. The grader then finishes spreading the gravel and works it into the road. Each summer we budget for approximately 50% of the roads, putting about a 2-inch lift of gravel, and it helps maintain the road. When all the roads are graveled, then we bring in the dust control, the calcium, and spread it down in the middle of the road. We work it in and then dress up the roads and pack it in. The maintenance after requires pre-wetting the road prior to grading, and it helps to keep the calcium in the gravel. We monitor it throughout the summer months. We grade it once to twice a week, or sorry, every 1 to 2 weeks. We monitor the road weekly, and if it needs grading, we grade it a little sooner. Dust control only takes place once a year. The process isn't done any earlier, as it required 2 applications of dust control, would be an extra $25,000. The current process is usually about $94,000 for the dust control once a year. The cost includes the purchase of gravel, preparing the roads, purchase of calcium, as well as maintaining the roads after it was done. That is about it for dust control. Any questions?
Councillor Ferguson.
A few years ago, if I recall, you were speaking of a compound that you were testing that could be placed on gravel roads, which would harden the gravel roads up, kind of make it almost like a little bit of like a cement material. Whatever happened with that? Was it not a successful test, or?
It wasn't that great. Yeah, we found the calcium works better. It actually flexes too, and it keeps that hard crust, eh? So yeah, it didn't work worth the hoot.
Any other questions? Councillor Adams,
Make a motion to accept his information.
any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor? And that is carried.
Okay, the next one is street sweeping. Street sweeping allows for the removal of sand and salt that's used in the wintertime, spread on the roads. The process of street sweeping helps prevent the trash, dirt, and other debris from accumulating in storm systems. There's basically two components to sweeping. The first is the initial cleanup, which includes lawn and boulevard sweeping. The second is the ongoing maintenance throughout summer. Water jets are used in a sweeper to kind of minimize the dust that's kicked up by the brooms. Sweeping starts in the spring when the overnight temperatures are constantly above freezing and most of the snow is melted. The initial cleanup starts with the 2 large sweepers covering the mains, arterials, collectors, and just picking up the bulk of the sand and the salt. Once the remainder of the snow is melted, the little sweeper is sent out to remove the sand and salt that was left over from in the windrows. Residential lawn sweeping and sidewalks are cleaned only on the designated side of the road. That's which is this side that the snow is taken to. The debris is swept on into the middle of the road and picked up by the bigger sweepers, and then it's hauled out to our snow dump. That's about it for spring cleaning, and then we move into summertime maintenance. The downtown core is scheduled to be cleaned once a week, and it happens in the middle of the night, usually on a night shift. All mains, arterials, and collectors are also cleaned once a week. This happens during normal hours, and residential sweeping occurs once or twice per month or as needed, and it happens during regular hours as well. And of course, that's all depending on weather. After the spring cleanup is complete, then the crews go out and touch up any lawns that they ripped up in snow removal and the lawn sweeping. One good point is when we repair the lawns, we only use black dirt and seed, not sod. And then we move into fall cleaning, basically cleaning up the twigs and leaves and stuff like that, so it doesn't get into the storms before the winter. And that is it in the sweeping. Any questions?
Councillor Ferguson.
So I think the sweeping on the residential lawns is a great level of service. So I'm really glad we do that. I know when I lived in town, I really appreciated it when that happened every year. So just a question though, do we do the same thing for our own roads in the right of way, like on Main Street and on the 6 Aves?
Yeah, we tend to do residential first.
Yeah.
Just because people like to get out there and start raking and manicuring their lawns. And then once we're done all the residential, then we moved on to our own stuff, Main Street and stuff like that. So.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you. If there's no other questions, I'll make a motion to accept the report as information.
Any further discussion? Call the question, those in favor? And that is carried. That is twice I looked left first. You should be impressed.
Thank you.
Everyone looks like.
Thanks, Cal.
Nothing to be impressed with.
I'm trying to equally look to both sides. So
Well, you
everyone
aren't.
feels included.
You aren't. Kimberly had questions. You ignored them.
Okay, I think I'm up next. So this is a last minute report just brought before council for their information and a bit of an update as it relates to our activities this last week and for the 2023 wildfires. Our finance department's been tracking diligently the costs that we've incurred to date as it relates to the evacuation and our efforts with some projections up until including May 15th, which is Monday. So this is just a report or a bit of a summary or snapshot provided to council for their information. And I can answer any questions that you may have as it relates to those. Sure.
Councillor Randall.
So 382, kind of a large number for a couple of days, but I guess it is what it is. So do we charge this all back to the community and the province?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea. And that's for the most part, providing we have good documentation and there's sound decisions that were made. These will typically a high proportion, 90, very few things will get rejected if they're reasonable and they're accounted for and they're appropriate given the time. So
Perfect.
we're confident that all of these expenses should be recoverable.
And I think from Roland having a significant background from doing the 2019 cost recovery on the evacuation. I know that to substantiate hours, there's separate timesheets for this that don't go through regulars that track each staff's time, sign in, sign out, supervisor approval. And then most of the projections are the evacuation accommodations as the majority of our evacuees are housed in hotels at this time.
In commercial accommodations. Yeah.
Yep. Councillor Hughes.
What is the normal turnaround time for repayment on this then? Do we have an estimate?
That is
on
the
that?
great question. Yeah. So it depends. Sometimes it depends on the scope of the disaster essentially, or the scope of the event. You know, is it isolated to one community or is this a provincial one? Obviously, the larger events like the one we're probably in right now,
the province has a lot more work as it goes through and audits those, those expenses and submissions, right? So it could sometimes take up to a year or 2 years, sometimes to claim some of these or to get some of these back. Sometimes there's provisions for, and we're going to be seeking out to see if we can acquire in advance against some of these expenses, and then a portion thereof reconciled at the end. So we're going to be looking for some assistance or opportunity to recover some of these funds sooner than later.
Are these coming from unrestricted surplus? Like
They more than likely will, and we'll have to make a motion or something along those lines to cover that back as we get further down the road.
And what's the process for like? On Friday, when all of this happened, obviously we were in contact with the province to get some type of approval. So there is an approval process to start spending funds.
Well, it's as basic as a request. So we start to request saying, hey, there's an emergency and we need to start sending residents your way. And then it's kind of built into that process. There's not necessarily a signed
form,
document or a form that comes. But the request, absolutely, the request comes for us for assistance, and that's documented, that's recorded, and then we continue on from there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, not that we wouldn't have helped, but we are required to help, right? Within that, like when they put in this emergency request, we are required to help them within the MGA.
Yeah, I don't believe that there's an option for it, especially
Right.
if we have capacity, right?
Yeah.
There would be an expectation that
Gladly would have helped anyway,
all
but we are
Albertans would
required
help,
to.
right? Whatever capacity they can.
Councillor Ferguson?
Are there any provisions for lost revenue? So for example, we're out $400,000, the interest on deposit that we're losing out on, the loss of revenue from the rentals from the MRC and our other facilities. Is there any cost recovery we can get there?
I don't know. We did have that discussion. I don't know if that's a recoverable item or not. It would be worth a discussion, but, and I mean, we are tracking everything down to equipment usage, and, this is just a list of the expenses potentially that we've incurred, but there's an ability for us to charge back for all of the equipment that we're utilizing for this response. I believe we're able to recover some of the costs that are related to renting the curling rink or renting the MRC. Is it offsetting? I mean, in a roundabout way, it's offsetting some of the lost revenue if we're able to charge back the cost of that rental. But that's the whole idea behind the process. In terms of anything else outside of that's not tangible, it might be difficult. It's just.
Councillor Gavin?
Thank you.
In these numbers that we have here, does that already include the 67,000 for the cots?
No. Oh, it incurs everything that we've rented. And I believe. No, because we haven't received invoices for any of those.
Okay, so this is just stuff for received
Correct,
invoices
yeah.
for?
This is estimates based on accommodations and overtime. Those are expenses that we're accruing at the moment. And then some of the contracted services and some of the smaller equipment rentals. But this would not include things that we haven't been invoiced for yet, which
Okay,
includes the cots to date.
Okay. The other question I was just trying to wrap my head around is we've got that new rule in place where we have to keep a fund in place to offset the costs of an emergency. Is that something that has to be utilized for this, or is this only if we were the ones having the emergency?
Well, those rules to the provincial disaster recovery program, the 90 and 10% rate. I don't know if it would apply in this situation to the municipality, as we're not a victim per se, or we haven't sustained damage or a loss ourselves. That's uninsured damage or loss.
Right.
But residents in Alberta would be potentially subject if the government still wishes to proceed with that legislation with the program or the changes to the program that occurred in 2021. Meaning if a structure was lost or there was damage done to a property that was uninsured or covered by any other means, that they could potentially make a claim for up to 90% of those costs, 10% being borne by that property owner for that one time and for the life of the property thereafter. So the changes to the program were that 90-10 split as opposed to 100% covered, and one-time one-time coverage from the province moving forward for the life of the property regardless of ownership. Those are two significant changes to that program.
Yeah, that's on the personal side, but as far as. we're
Well,
concerned as a
municipalities, I
community-
believe as well, if we were victimized, I think falls under the 90-10 as well. But this isn't the case of us putting a claim in
Okay.
for
Our own property
a town
down.
office building that had burnt down, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
don't even say that.
uninsured. That's the other.
It's uninsured. Is that
Correct.
the trigger point? Is that this has to be uninsured?
Uninsured.
Okay. Counselor Ferguson,
I'll make a motion to accept this as information.
any further discussion? Call to question, those in favor? And that is carried.
Okay, so on the same topic, we have a report labeled emergency preparedness request for equipment authorization. So if support of this request will increase the regional capabilities of the town and MD to provide emergency accommodation services to its residents and those other communities in need during times of emergency evacuation. So the purpose of this report is to request authorization from council to purchase 500 or to purchase temporary portable beds or cots. As a result of the 2023 wildfires and requests to provide an evacuation center for 2 First Nation communities located north of Slave Lake, the town has undertaken a full operational rollout of services to accommodate approximately 650 displaced residents. Initially, all efforts were and currently remain to house displaced residents in hotel accommodations. Often, the number of rooms required does not meet the demand. As such, preparations have been made to house these individuals in temporary accommodations, typically on cots in large centers such as the curling rink, MRC, or Arena 2. To date, the town has acquired in anticipation of a potentially increased role in providing evacuation service to other communities, approximately 850 cots. Cots are typically provided on an as-needed basis from the Red Cross or AEMA. These cots are not provided free of charge, but rather charged to the municipality as a one-time per cot rental fee. Transportation costs are also added to the total cost. Its estimated cost of the cots required to date, so the 850 approximate cots that we've received are about $67,000. And actually, that's actually probably low because we had acquired a small portion from Chestermere. So I don't know if there's going to be a rental fee for the cots, but there definitely was about a $5,000 transportation fee to hotshot them up. The availability of cots can be at times unpredictable. Often when requests are made for these resources, it could be days, if not weeks, before they arrive on site, if they do at all. Decisions are made on a provincial level concerning the deployment of these rental cots and can be redirected at any point in time, even during transportation. This lack of certainty as it relates to the availability and retainability creates logistical problems for the town attempting to provide an essential service to not only external displaced residents, but potentially to our own residents should the need arise. As a function of the town's response and unused capacity to offer more temporary accommodations, the need for an additional 500 cots has been requested. If acquired from either AEMA or Red Cross, the cots would cost approximately $47,000 and would need to be returned at the completion of the event. Our logistics team operating under the EOC has identified a local supplier of cots who is willing to provide 500 cots to the town for approximately $36,000. Regular price being $95.99 and being sold to the town for $71.99. This pricing is from a local supplier offering them at a significantly reduced price under the premise of helping their respective and neighboring communities with no cost for shipping. At the conclusion of the event, the town would retain ownership of these cots and have them available 24/7 for any future deployments, emergencies, or even events, i.e. youth conferences requiring sleeping accommodations in a school gym, for example, requiring temporary accommodations. The MD of Lesser Slave River has also been approached and supports the proposal to partner with the town on this potential purchase, creating a regional asset or resource that would benefit any of our communities within the Lesser Slave River Fire Service. Regional Fire Service, sorry. A previously budgeted and unapproved approved capital project under the fire department has recently come under budget with a cost savings of approximately $65,000, creating a source of funding for this request. Two options before council today is to authorize administration to proceed with the purchase of temporary cots and a storage CCAN that can be retained as an asset under the fire service in partnership with the MD up to a total project cost of $65,000, or not to proceed with the purchase as proposed and requisition the temporary cots through established sources on a temporary basis. Resource impacts, as indicated, the project costs up to $65,000 currently funded for 2023 capital budget. If supported, administration would develop a communication plan relating to the acquisition of these assets, the partnership created with the MD, and the contribution from our local retailer. Recommendation to council as provided to you is the purchaser to approve the purchase of the temporary cots. And you have a motion before you, should you support that request.
Okay, you, then you.
Um,
Counselor Crum.
I just want to comment that I'm in approval of this, and as I was kind of tasked with working with town staff on when these evacuees were coming, and night one was very stressful. We were Frankie, Mayor Ward, whatever you're called today, was on the phone calling principals for gym mats. We were trying to find enough beds for the evacuees to sleep in, and it was a mad scramble, and we got through that night. But day two brought us more scrambling when we thought High Prairie was evacuating. Now we're scrambling to find cots, and we're borrowing from our former fire chief, got us some from Chestermere, and we had some in time. But if High Prairie got evacuated, we wouldn't have had theirs in time. So having something like this in our inventory would save a lot of stress, a lot of time, and judging by this report, a lot of money. And we could just roll it out on a need by need basis in whatever communities in our region. And I think down the road, possibly make money off of it, like these other two groups are doing, right? To rent them out to other municipalities. So I'm in full support of this.
Counselor Randall.
I echo that sentiment. It would have made Friday a lot smoother. But I think of it as an investment and as an insurance. Insurance, you don't need it until you need it. And obviously, we hope we don't need these as much as, we could, but it's great to have them. And if we can charge them back, it's just an investment and they'll pay for themselves. So I'm totally okay with the cost. And I mean, it doesn't matter if we buy them all this year or we split it up and buy some this year and some next year. I'm okay with either.
I was just going to make a quick comment to allude to Councillor Grumlick's point there, or to further it, I guess, that Friday was it was the best managed chaos that we could do. I've never personally had to experience that level of coordination with regards to taking residents in. But if we look in 2019 that we had to do that as well, this is not a new thing for our town. I felt horrible that we had to, and I was grateful for the mats received from all the schools. So thank you to all the schools in our school divisions, as well as Northern Lakes College, because I made calls to all the principals and there was no hesitation. They dropped off mats at the curling rink and they were used. But I did feel horrible that we weren't able to resource something quicker. We did the best we could, but that's a horrible first night when you're looking at potential structural loss in your community. I do like that administration has come forward with a way to resource this with funds that were previously allocated. So great on the cost savings. So I personally am in full support of it, but I will now stop talking and open commentary. Councillor Hughes.
Okay, so just a question. Do you know what project came under budget for the regional fire service? That we're able to use the funds for?
SCBA, the self-contained breathing apparatus project, I believe, came in under. So I think it was budgeted at $250,000.
Okay,
And I think the price that we came in as around 185.
okay. I just feel like a lot of money is definitely going out fairly quickly for this. And I was a little more hesitant funds wise, but I think seeing that we can reallocate these funds definitely gives me a little bit more initiative to say yes to that. Friday was a lot of work, a lot of chaos. I do definitely see the huge benefit to the town of Slave Lake having our own resources in terms of the cots. What would be our plan for storing them, etc.?
So that's kind of mentioned in the report here
Sorry,
is
I missed
kind
it.
of the total project costs and trying to source a C-can or something along those lines that we can,
Right.
locate out at the fire hall, and it's accessible, it's movable.
Okay. So we would have a cost of purchasing a seed can and then storing
I
it in
would
our
work
own
that, yeah, I
town
would work,
land.
yeah, exactly. I would
That's
work that into the
included in
price.
fees put-
Okay, yeah, I just want to be clear on that. Okay. Yeah, I think in terms of of what you're presenting at this point in time, I would be in favor of that. Yeah.
Counselor Adams?
Are we able to, would any of these resources be chargeable this time?
Charged back?
Yeah. To the
Yeah,
province?
I will make an effort to attempt to recover these costs through the, you know, in our recovery of costs back to the province. There's nothing saying that the costs that they cover have to be necessarily rental and they can't be purchase of equipment or purchase of assets. So, you know, when we were struggling and we were looking over the last 2 days, let's say, for example, of potentially increasing our capacity with another 1,000 or 2,000 people potentially coming from our neighbors to the west there. We struggled and potentially located or sourced a couple groups of some more cots to come from AMA and Red Cross. But even in that discussion and then further discussions I had with AMA and some of the field officers who were made aware that we had cots coming, the comment was, well, we might need to reroute those to another location. And so the amount of control that we have is very limited, even in that sort of scenario, which bolsters the opinion of these cots are ours, they're our own capacity. We could have them rolled out within hours of needing them, as opposed to rolling the dice and waiting for an organization or an NGO to A, assign them to us, and then B, potentially to try and ship them to us in the time of crisis and emergency. We lucked out, I think, in the first group that we got, or the ones that we did get there. But it wasn't going to be that lucky moving forward.
When you could see like the cost of these is damn near the rental cost of them, right?
Absolutely.
It'd be insane not to own something when it costs you this much to rent them.
Counselor Adams?
How many times have we required this in the last 50 years?
How many times have you set up a temporary accommodations? That I don't know.
At least 2.
Twice since 2019. Since 2019, twice. So that,
120 plus
Okay.
$1,000 over those years, I would say.
Yeah, but I get that. Then
I do like the dual purpose though. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Counselor. I do like the dual purpose though. I know we are looking at potential, not in 2026, but I think it's 2028 summer games applications and stuff like that. And I do like because we don't have any large, we have some hotels, but we wouldn't have enough to accommodate the amount of participants, especially the ones regarding the youth requirements and them all being accommodated together. So we do have the facilities for summer games, not winter.
we've done winter games.
We don't have it anymore because they need a ski hill.
Yeah, but we've done it and accommodated them.
In the past, yes, but now with the new requirements, like this would, I think, be
need
helpful.
dormitory type sleeping arrangements.
Go ahead. Yep.
And then my other question would be, what's enough? Is 500 enough? Like 500, when we're talking thousands, seems like a drop in.
Yeah, so
useless.
this through this retailer, through this source, that's why there's a little bit of discrepancy in the initial ask and up to the total 65,000. Because I was able to initially, when we started these conversations, this retailer had access to 1,200 cots. When I followed up again this afternoon at about 4:30, we're down to 800. So I said, block those 800 and I'll have an answer for you by the morning. The 800 still brings us in under, I believe, under budget at 70, at 72. How much is enough? I don't know. I mean, I think.
There's something we should be doing a line item for years to come in a replenishment stock thing.
I guess it depends to what extent, like, for example, 850 right now, we're able to furnish the curling rink, able to furnish Arena 2 and part of the Flexi Hall, right? So if we had 800 to 1,000 in total, that should probably provide enough cots, and Councilor Grama can attest to.
And what that does from the working aspect, it gives you that head start. So let's say we only had 850, but we needed 1,000. Now we're only sourcing 150, right? Like this will get us to a good manageable number to roll out and be ahead of the game. I think
1,000, we could probably outfit those three locations, those three spaces. If summer ice wasn't in and we wanted to do it for Arena 1, you're probably looking at another 300 or 400. Would give us capacity to fill the spaces that we control. like, I don't think you would have a need for more than 1,500, but that's not what we're asking for at this time.
My other question on this is what about the bedding piece? Because all these cots that come in with that rental fee include pillow, bedding,
Some
They
did.
do not include the
Red Cross.
pillow.
The Red Cross, yeah, the Red Cross supplied blankets.
Blankets
right?
only,
Yeah.
no pillow.
No
And
pillows.
they're very thin blankets.
yeah, not emergency.
It is.
I'm just asking what
Yeah, no,
are
they-
we doing to accommodate that as well? Because that's a cost as well.
We haven't addressed or looked into that box yet in terms of bedding or blankets right now. It was just the beds. I mean, that's definitely would be the part two to it potentially, or maybe a following year's budget to, to acquire, accommodate. This year, we depended on a lot of donations as well to help
Which the
offset.
community was crazy with.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
The amount of bedding, I was gonna mention that later in State of Lake, but anytime there was a call that was made out, it was unbelievable. The amount of, and we were just talking about bedding, but the pillows and the blankets that came in that we were able to outfit at least the mats. So we got all the mats and we were able to outfit the mats with pillows and blankets for everyone that was required to stay in the curling club on Friday night. But it is a consideration for future on what we would need to do that, but at least they would have a place to lie down.
I also think not only you see the support that you're receiving from the individual community, but we're starting to get interest from companies and corporations phoning and saying, hey, how can we help? What can we do? So there may be an opportunity to form some of those partnerships to bolster some of these, these preparedness sort of initiatives, whether it's partnering potentially with COTS or partnering with, hey, we sure could use 1,000 blankets donated or whatever the case may be, right? So we're just kind of in the infancy and there's an opportunity, a very short window to action this item, but for a bigger picture sort of preparedness, this is probably one of those aspects that we probably should have some equipment and some measures in place to be a little bit more self-sufficient in times of crisis. Because if it was just Slave Lake that was dealing with, or this small little region, the province would be here. We'd have a lot of provincial supplies. We'd have a lot of provincial assets helping. It'd be a different, but when you see that the whole province, northern part of the province is under fire, it starts to become a little bit more reliant, self-sufficient and self-reliant. And
I would like to add that we have had because normally the province will
yes.
send a resource. We've had none.
In 2019, and Bryce was in the room quite a bit, and there's two gentlemen from the province, right? And they're kind of running things in direction, and it's been passed upon Jeff and his staff to take on the whole thing, which they're doing a phenomenal job of at the moment, but the whole province is burning, right? And we're doing this on our own.
And I think that was part of the point that got me in this, and the creative thinking about it was that it very much felt like we were alone as a community in handling this. It was, you need to do this, you need to do this now. And for me personally, I could kind of see the gaps in our response plan, and moving forward, what would be able to be rolled out quicker. So that's
the
why
other piece that goes with this too is it's a town asset. So if we had to evacuate, we could bring these with us. If we had to move our residents to another community, we had to set up an EOC somewhere else. Those communities, unless they had their own resources, which not a lot do, they're going to be faced with the same logistical challenges that we have. But if we're able to,
500
prepare, load up the sea can and head it down the road before everybody else does, now they've at least got 1,000 cots that they could start to unpack for our residents and 1,000 blankets and whatever else we need. As we start to build that capacity, it's not just beneficial to this town and this spot on the map, but it could follow us wherever we need to go.
Councillor Adams. So
I do like the idea of this. I do worry about the speed at which we're reacting to it. But that being said, I see the long-term value. The only thing I would like to caution or to make sure, not even caution, to make sure that we take care of this going forward is that we know the lifespan of this, what kind of depreciation we're looking at, so we can continually fund this going forward. So we have this asset for a long term. And whether that involves growing or not, even if it's status quo, we got to be putting a
replacement
reserve
value is
fund
what you're
away
saying, yeah.
to accommodate for that.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can get that put on budget discussions in the fall with regards
Correct.
to
Yeah.
emergency preparedness.
Sure.
Person.
So I just have a couple questions here. So it's great to see a regional approach to this, and I support this in principle. So first off, we get reimbursed from the Alberta government for the cots from the Red Cross, correct?
That's, yeah, we'll be submitting all costs related to our effort.
Okay. And if we have another event and we own these cots, can we charge the provincial government?
There's a I don't know that, I don't want to tell you the answer straight off, but I know there's, for example, there's provisions for other equipment that we utilize for ourselves, right? So whether it's our trucks, our pickups, whether it's a grader or a loader, so anything that we're using, town assets that we're utilizing for emergency response, we're able to bill back and to recover through the disaster recovery program. So I would assume that this would fall under that sort of realm of items as well. But I don't know definitively for you.
And
It's a
last,
unique kind of cost. I haven't seen it
Okay.
where any municipality I've been involved in have had these assets to be able to build them back.
and lastly, how urgent is this that we need to do it now? So can we wait a few months and lobby the provincial government for funding, since this is ultimately their responsibility and they shouldn't be shouldering it on us?
Well, I mean, the level of urgency, I guess, is going to be for council to decide. I mean, the ability for us to council be aware of the situation that we're in, the climate, that the threat of potential emergency in the communities that are being impacted with by now. I'll let you decide whether or not you feel that that's something that needs to be addressed now or can be addressed in September. But it is something that it's been presented to me that we need to prepare for more people. And so the request needs to be addressed one way or the other, whether it's a purchase or whether it's a rental. This just provided an opportunity for financial and strategic sense to have a purchase. But either way, we're going to be looking to source more cots.
Yeah.
This is just in my opinion, a better approach.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Brandel.
You mentioned a short window earlier. Is that just for this supplier or?
Yeah. There's a demand, like I had indicated yesterday, there was 1,200. This afternoon by 4 p.m. there was 800 left. So we put a temporary kind of hold on them until tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And indicated to this retailer that we would get back to them by tomorrow morning.
Okay, so say we decide we're gonna do this and we order them tomorrow. What's
Yeah.
the delivery timeline?
They figured 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. With zero cost shipping.
Councilor Epps.
Much along the lines that you were discussing there. And now I've lost my train of thought. Can I do that?
Timelines were what they were discussing.
You're trying delivery timeline?
Losing it. Nope.
Oh,
All right. Never mind, apparently.
No, Bryce was talking urgency. You probably wanted to comment on that. Do we need them now? Is that where you were?
No, I am good with, I do like the idea behind this, but much like Councillor Ferguson was saying, my initial reaction is I want to know what the province is funding because it is under their wheelhouse, not ours. And as long as we can charge them back as we use them, I am confident with an investment like this. But if it, oh, got it. See, if I ramble long enough, it comes. The costs that we're sourcing, are they acceptable for and durable enough for what we're requiring? Like, are they similar to what we have now?
I believe so. I haven't seen them personally. I believe so, but I mean, I would double check, I guess, before just to verify. I don't know if we have one that we can see in our hand. They're from a reputable retailer.
Yeah, but you know, the different qualities.
Yeah,
you can
I
get,
don't-
where
I
one
don't,
is basically a one-time use, another one we could use for 20 years.
Yeah, I believe, I mean, they're an outdoor cot camping designed for longer use. I don't have anything to suspect that it's of lower quality.
The ones we have now aren't exactly world class either.
No, but they are.
Those stick, yeah.
We have a potential image of the. I'm not sure, that looks pretty close in terms of the price. User weight able to hold up to 300 pounds. The item itself is 16.8 pounds. Weather resistant, PVC coated, polyester fabric. Yeah, it's hard to.
Donna, can we get that written down? Can you write that in the notes?
If there's, if, I don't know if there's one locally available, but if this is approved, we'll, maybe see if we can requisition just one single unit locally and, bring it out for test or comparison before, we give the final okay.
Counselor Adams was first on this one.
He also said he was done with questions.
That's better not be a
I'd
question.
like to move that council approve administration to partner with the MD of Lesser Slave River and purchase up to $65,000 on temporary cots and a C-can for storage with funding coming from the LSRFS 2023 capital budget surplus.
Okay, a motion is on the floor. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. Those in favor. And that is carried. You get to keep rolling, Jeff.
All right. CAO update.
Okay.
I believe it's included in your package this week, so I'll just kind of go over a number of the different highlights. Under human resources, our health and safety coordinator moved into the role in April 2023 and is still transitioning from her former position over at the fire department. Under recruitment, we're still accepting applications for a manager of IT, fire administrative program coordinator, administrative assistant to the CAO and HR, and junior lifeguards. Recently filled a program coordinator on an 18-month contract, public works operator, senior lifeguard, travel counselors, which are the staff that work at the Visitor Information Center, and a summer splash coordinator. And we're still in the progress of interviewing for a communications coordinator, aquatic supervisor, deputy fire chief, junior instructor, 2 municipal clerks that work at the RCMP detachment, and the director of corporate services are at various stages of their process. Finance tax notices were mailed out on May the 3rd. Year end has been completed and will be brought to council on May 16th. There were 6 new business licenses in the last month. New businesses include Sunshine Cleaning, Free Range Therapeutics. I won't even pronounce that. Cuisine, Sunny Spire Immigration Solutions, Prime Fortune Talents Events, and Kitchen Contracting Limited. Under operations, as our previous director had mentioned, their sweeping lawns or sweeping program is underway. Grading gravel roads will be starting or has started this week, with line painting starting this week as well. Under the utilities, one highlight, the Schurter Splash Park header rebuild install and test has been taking place this week with spring hydrant flushing and shop yard cleanup. Projects are under the Cush's department. There are a couple highlights. They're working with a contractor to complete leftover landscaping around the new spray pad at Hilda Eben Park. That is, they're still shooting for opening and commissioning that site prior to the May long weekend, if everything works as planned. Sawridge Force Main Twinning Project is 70% complete. Force Main installations is complete. Only scope remaining is to install a flow meter and complete the programming. Working with a consultant to create a revised downtown art feature, drawing for further engagement. Pump track equipment's been ordered and expected installation around mid-July. The reviewing shop drawings for the highway entrance signs. Picnic tables and benches have been ordered. Order has been received for Hilda Eben Splash Park installation to begin next week. The wash unit also for the Hilda Eben Park is expected to be delivered May 16th, so next week. Under the planning and development branch, one of the highlights are researching the cost for a consultant to complete the public consultation and regulations for short-term rentals. So they're exploring that possibility. Communications department, engaged Slave Lake subscribers is up to 257 as of the time of this report. So it's up 156, so more than 50%. Our current Voyant subscriptions went from about 522 previous month to a whopping 1,459 as of today. So it has increased by 200%, which is fantastic. Facebook followings have also increased. The updated number is actually now 7,588 Facebook followers to our social media stream. Under economic development, rural renewal stream portal is active. We received 9 applications from local employers, with 7 accepted. State of the Lake occurred since our last mayor's report with approximately 55 to 60 participants. Feedback received was all positive. There was some suggestion to focus more on tourism and potentially having the Tourism Society as on the panel for the State of the Lake 2024. So all good things for consideration for future planning. And the Northern and Regional Economic Development Grant application was accepted by the province. That was submitted on behalf of the town. These funds are going to be used to source and cover our industrial land market and fiscal impact analysis. So that will be beginning soon if it hasn't started already.
We're just waiting on the funds from the province.
Okay. And the MD has confirmed their participation and their portion as it relates to that project. We won't talk about the fire department because we've been busy with them all week. April enforcement under the bylaw department, 61 calls for service. Year to date of 208 with 22 tickets are issued over the course of the last reporting period. Starting in March of 2023, the Town of Slave Lake Peace Officers adjusted schedules. They now have almost a 7-day-a-week coverage every month, with some exceptions for court training and joint operations. Coverage hours vary from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Under community services, we hosted a Bring Your Own Floaty event, which had about 30 people in attendance. Most notable, though, the Bronze Medallion and Bronze Cross were hosted in April. They had 5 people successfully complete both courses that were registered through our free cost program with the intention they will become employees of the Aquatic Center. We are working on the onboarding process with these individuals as we speak. Under facilities and parks, staffs are transitioning between parks and the MRC. Park cleanup is well underway, as well as playground inspections. Prepping soccer field layouts and line painting, ball diamond prep and maintenance is in place. Contractors working on Charity Park Diamond number 3. Under the FCSS, the income tax program has wrapped up with a very high number of returns completed of 420 this year. Under recreation and programming, the MRC has switched to its spring summer operational hours as of May 1st. The hours will run from May 1st to August 31st. So Monday to Friday, 8 till 8 and Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 5, excluding the temporary closures for the wildfire evacuation right now. And the VIC staff have started on May 8th. They plan to have the VIC open the week of May 15th. Visitor Information Center. That is my report, or the vast majority of it. If you have any questions, I'm all ears.
Councilor Gramlich.
You probably already highlighted it, but if you didn't, any of those events that are at the MRC, have we come up with a backup plan or canceled them?
We just identified them today as potential conflicts, and community services is working through evaluating some of those plans and seeing if there's alternatives. There may be, unfortunately, there may be some that we are unable to accommodate, but we're going to try our best to see if we can find alternative arrangements if possible.
Just want to point it out in case it was missed. Thank you.
Councilor Hughes.
About the Tamarack Valley Spray Park, can we put out some communication if there hasn't been, when we get a moment? There's been lots of other communication, but that is a hot button topic. People are very excited, wondering when it's going to open. So it might be nice to just say end of May.
Put up another communication.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of communication going out, so I guess it might be missed as well. And on that note, I did want to say very happy to hear that the Voyant subscriptions are up. I actually had several comments from different residents that I ran into today that commented to me how much they love Voyant, how easy it was to sign up, and how they love the daily consistent communication from the town of Slave Lake, and that it has made them feel confident and comfortable with, you know, what's going on. And they feel like just the access to information has been really, really great for them and put them more at ease. So I did just want to share that and say thank you for the efforts on that point. One other question from me. You mentioned in your report, you're working with a consultant to create the revised downtown art feature drawing for further engagement. Can you just elaborate on that again and refresh my memory on?
So this has kind of been a multi-stage kind of slow approach. We initially put a call letter out looking for interest or ideas. We got very limited results back. Then we've had some meetings with the Art Council in terms of one of those ideas, and kind of worked through a couple different options, and basically back to back to one of the contractors potentially to kind of see if we can work in some of these ideas and some design elements as it relates to potentially that project, with the whole goal of coming back to the community with a couple potential drawings or something along those lines for some engagement as it relates to that project. So
Okay.
Cush is more involved in that process, so I haven't
Right.
been in part of those conversations, but I know that there's been some back and forth and limited input from the community in terms of viable art projects for that.
I do feel that I have found myself a vocal group of some individuals who would love to see certain pieces featured in downtown that they can, take photos with. Like, I think there are a group of individuals out there that are hoping and looking for certain things. So just wondering on how we can engage with them or what our engagement plan was once we have a couple concepts and stuff.
I
So,
believe we'll be, again, similar to some other projects, will be, again, once we're at the stage of a couple potential designs, or we're much closer to a final sort of design on one or two of the options, utilizing again our new engagement platform to help solicit that, looking for partners, council members, individuals of the community to share and point people to that page and solicit that feedback,
mhm.
for those
Certainly.
sorts of projects, and then ultimately with potentially with council making a decision on which direction to proceed.
Okay, thank you. And timeline for that is probably going to be the end of summer or into the fall.
I
would assume-
couldn't comment. I don't know how
Okay,
far
no,
away
sure.
we are. It's I could find the answer for you if you're interested, but I don't have it today.
Okay,
It's
that's good.
working its way
Yeah,
through the process. It's a
Okay.
slower process, but
respect that. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Counselor Adams, thank you.
Make a motion to accept for information.
Any further discussion? Call to question those in favor, and that is carried. Management task list.
okay. Let's give me 1 second here. So if you will recall, I think it was back in October, and maybe previous to that was June. So after the strategic plan was developed by council prior to my arrival, the acting CAO Gary Roth had presented an update on some of the town's progress on some of the specific initiatives. So I believe as it was initially reported in June, there was a follow-up that was presented in October. And what I've been tasked, or what I tasked the administration, was to provide a further update in regards to some of those strategic priorities as it sits today. So I will go through that on a department basis if you have the slides in front of you. So what I asked was each department to take the overall strategic plan, and this is what's happened in the previous two reports, and to comment on the specific objectives and initiatives that were relative to their own departments. So community services may have a handful, finance may only have a couple, planning may have a few. They don't necessarily all have a role to play in all of the initiatives, but most of them have some sort of contribution to some of them. Oh, I'm sorry. I might have skipped ahead to manager task list. Do you want me to continue on with this?
I was like, am I wrong? Where are we now?
All right, we're on the strategic plan update. We'll circle back to the manager task list.
Okay,
after. Sorry.
thanks, buddy.
You linked them together.
Yeah, you flowed from it right into it. And then I was like, what? What did he just?
I was like, oh, by department. I was
all
like,
right.
oh, this is new. Okay.
Let's focus in. I'll
Very
circle
innovative.
back to the task list.
Innovative.
Can we put the task list by department too? in
I love the
future?
new approach.
You can sort it however you like. That's why you have the Excel spreadsheet before you.
Okay.
All right, back to the task list. So I'm on slide 2, or the strategic plan update, slide 2. So this is administration's update, which means basically some of the ones that aren't followed under the other departments. So under livability, under the support and grow the diversity of our economy, discussions have begun with K Division, initial meetings, and this is in regards to the creation of potentially a new municipal RCMP detachment. We had some initial meetings take place. Actually, we're intending on having initial meetings taking place in May or June. So I've reached out to K Division and started that process. The government of Alberta has announced funding for Highway 88 design relating to the potential upgrades. Under recognize the value of our recreation amenities, the addition of enhanced communication channels such as Voyant and Engagement HQ to be leveraged to increase reach while proactively promoting various recreational opportunities, both within the town and outside. Partnerships enhanced with Slave Lake Tourism, Chamber of Commerce, and local businesses with addition of our economic development manager position. Under good governance, the next slide, ensure we have the technology in place to make quality decisions and improve service delivery. Our enterprise resource planning RFP was advertised and completed. So the evaluation of 2 submissions received to commence in May and June with the potential commencement of our new director of corporate services. The solution to bring together the various departments on one platform to efficiently collect, store, and retrieve data across departments while maintaining the number of individual platforms or minimizing the number of platforms. We've also proceeded with the implementation of Stratagem, our cybersecurity protocols and enhancements to begin in May, with project completion anticipated by June 1st. Under the recognizing the value of our human assets as core to our delivery of services to our residents, short-term rental accommodations acquired to assist new employees with housing efforts. Adjustments have been made to specific groupings of employees in regards to market pressures and local competition. Apex supplementary pension commenced for members of the senior leadership team. Flex work weeks, in addition to standardization of reduced work weeks to 37.5 hours, has also been implemented since last reported. Under relationship and partnerships, so continue with the actively partner with our regional neighbors through established intergovernmental partnerships. So work continues with ANCA, the MD and Sawridge to build upon established relationships. Expansion of the fire services agreement provided by all 3 partners with raw water line agreements awaiting final approval from Sawridge, and work to commence on the creation and ratification of a visitor information center and peace officer agreements with the MD through intermunicipal committee. Recognizing our municipality's role in the truth and reconciliation, the adoption of the land acknowledgement, staff participation in federal holidays combined with various learning activities throughout the week. And one item that should have been included in here was the adoption of our flags and recognition of the various First Nations as it relates to our land and that we occupy currently. Under communication, focus on proactive engagement and communication with residents. So the deployment of Engagement HQ with continued usage of Voyant to modernize methods of communication and effective engagement. Strategic changes to social media policies to promote positive and proactive communication. We had a continued focus on internal communication to be proactive versus reactive, and the creation of the business advisory group to enhance two-way communication with the business community. Under the actively communicate a positive image of Slave Lake, adoption and application of our new brand on all town assets continues or has continued. Those are the strategic plan updates as they relate to the administration department. Are there any questions before I go on to the next? Hearing none. The next department updates will be under community services. So under economic health, to pursue a regional approach to tourism as both an economic and community building driver. An MOU with Alberta Parks and the MD for the beach and beach cleanup is in place. Grooming operations are ongoing, and the resumption of our visitor information center operations. Under the development of a vibrant downtown, so downtown beautification, contracted cleaning in the downtown for the upcoming year, ongoing support for Arts Council and development of murals in, I can't make out what that word is. Downtown, I'll just say. Under livability, the next slide. So create connections between our residents through community programming. There's ongoing programming efforts include family fun nights, youth activities, adult swim and skating lessons, group fitness classes, some of which are new and continuing, summer ice rentals, pickleball programming, and the resumption of regular programming. Under livability, ongoing programming efforts include and continue resumption of ongoing events such as Frost Fest and Canada Day, the resumption of previous programming such as Summer Splash, PD day camps, FCSS programming, and events at the Legacy Center, such as LeaderCast and Banff Center Mountain Film Festival. Ongoing support for the High Prairie and District Children's Resource Council, who have resumed programming for the community with significant increases in attendance, and ongoing support for organizations who are providing events in our community, such as ATCO, Oilers Hockey School, All In Event, and Stage North. Again, under livability, recognize the values of our recreation amenities. Splash Park is still under construction at the Hill-Eben Park, opening this spring. Ongoing communications on recreational opportunities and ongoing efforts towards capital projects as they pertain to recreation. Pool shutdown and deck refurbishment, MRC roof refurbishment, MRC ammonia mitigation project, Hilda Eben playground, tennis court resurfacing, washrooms at Hilda Eden, pump track at Barton Park, half basketball court at Popular Grove Park, sunshade projects for various parks, gazebo specifically for Shooter Park donated by the Slave Lake Rotary. Under good governance, recognizing the value of our human assets as core to our delivery of services of our residents. Community services continues to have vacancies in almost every work unit. With this in mind, the accomplishments of staff in delivering customer service and programming to the community is recognized. Under relationships and partnerships, recognizing the key roles community groups and volunteers play. So FCSS has led a volunteer recognition and is planning other recognition in December. Ongoing relationship building with facility user groups continue. Under communication, focus on proactive engagement and communication with residents. So there's ongoing communication of information and promotion of programming. Customer service presentation to all staff meeting. And ongoing customer service training as part of department onboarding. That said, that is the strategic plan update for community services. Any questions? All right, we'll move along. Strategic plan update for communications and economic development. So under economic health, an economic development action plan updated in December. Progress has been made advancing the recommendations and activities. Outlined in the plan to include but not limited to nearing completion of the new visual identity and rebrand, State of the Lake 2023, communications plan, Slave Lake Economic Development Advisory Committee, and the formalized partnership with the Slave Lake and Regional Tourism Society. That partnership has helped reduce the duplication of effort, encourage efficient use of both staff capacity and resources amongst all community or partner organizations. And we've engaged a local marketing experts to develop a digital tourism marketing campaign for the 2023 summer season. Building relationships with local businesses, community through the initiation of the Economic Development Advisory Committee, obtain community designation under the Alberta Advantage Immigration Rural Renewal Stream to assist local businesses, labor attraction and retention efforts, and obtain grant funding from the provincial government under the Northern and Regional Economic Development Grant to conduct an industrial land market and fiscal impact analysis. This analysis will determine the market viability of potential expansion of industrial lands within the town of Slave Lake and regionally within the MD of Lesser Slave River, including the Mitsue Industrial Park. Under the development of a vibrant downtown, Rennie Hall Plaza redesign complete, sidewalk repair expected to be completed on the east side of Main Street in 2023. Facade improvement program. So Community Futures has launched its beautification loan program in cooperation with the town. The program offers interest-free loans for beautification on storefronts for business owners. An outdoor boulevard cafe. So town issued permits for outdoor boulevard cafe in 2022, which is expected to continue in 2023.
Councilor Brandel,
That's economic development.
question.
Sorry, just a quick question on the Community Futures loan program that's actually launched now?
Yeah, it launched a couple months ago.
Oh, okay, wonderful. And are we gonna get updates periodically?
The last update I heard from Josh, the executive director over at Community Futures, is there's not very much uptake at all, unfortunately. But I can provide another update for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see well, I guess I have a question about their communication strategy regarding that.
I only saw one post about it.
Yeah, it would be actually, if it would be great if it went out to all business owners, like in downtown, like a letter or an email.
Like if not everybody at this table knew about it, how are the residents gonna know about it, right?
Councilor Adams?
To make a comment on that, they have had more outreach than just the one post. Through other means. They have had applications or questions about it. It's just no one's taken it to that next step to go on. Part of the strategy that's going forward is it's not just storefront. You can also utilize it for doing your inside of your store to a limited degree to make those changes. It's part of beautifying what you have. So they're trying to figure out how they can communicate that out and maybe get more uptake on it. Because the size of the loans is a challenge when you're talking a full facade on a building. It's honestly peanuts when you look at the whole thing. But if we can put it down into bite-sized pieces, that's their goal, is to communicate that out. And they're working on that as of the last meeting.
That's a good update. Thank you. Any more questions? Continue.
Okay. Update from Communications Department. So under the focus on proactive engagement and communication with residents, so we had the launch of EngageSlaveLake.ca as the primary mechanism for obtaining feedback and input from residents on town projects and priorities. So it allows for a variety of engagement tools to be utilized to obtain a variety of feedback. Ongoing communication of town programming and services on social media and Voyant Alert app. And we recently completed, as presented to council, our communications plan that has been implemented or will be implemented in the months coming. Under our actively communicate a positive image of Slave Lake. As part of the communications plan and under the direction of senior leadership, comments have been turned off on social media so the town can control the narrative on its social media channels and to focus on positive feedback and communication. New visual identity and rebranding has been almost complete, and the digital marketing campaign for the summer tourism season is under development currently. That is the update from the communications department. Financial and IT services. Under the priority of economic health to support and grow diversity in our economy. The budget and fund and economic development plan has been completed for the 2023-2024 budget. Under the development of a vibrant downtown, we secured funding for the downtown revitalization project has been completed. An additional 500,000 towards a project was achieved. Completed 441,731 MSP grant funding and 500,000 CCRF funding for a total of 941,731 in grant funding secured for that initiative. Under plan and advocate for housing diversity, we've secured budgetary funding for the development of land use documents and statutory plans with the goal of having them completed with the 2023-2024 budget. Support community agencies in their service to our most vulnerable residents. We continue to work with the project manager on site locations and funding sources for the MAT program initiatives, which was completed with the 2023-2024 budget. Under livability, recognize the value of our recreation amenities. So we secured MSI funding for additional splash park under construction at Hill Eden Park, funded with reserve through the budget. Review capital funding levels for recreation infrastructure is ongoing. Increased reserve funding levels for the 2023-2024 budget. Under good governance, recognize the value of our human assets as the core to our delivery of services. Financial and information technology services continues to provide a healthy, respectful workplace and a supportive environment for employees to learn and grow. Under the plan for financial costs at capital assets key to our community, ongoing financial planning and asset management software. Recruit a contract employee to assist with capital asset management and working on the recruitment phase currently. Relationships and partnerships to continue to actively partner with our regional neighbors through established intergovernmental partnerships. We provide the MD of Lesser Slave River with ongoing consultation and budget updates with regards to intermunicipal and fire services agreements, and that's continuing. Under our communication priorities, we focus on proactive engagement and communication with residents. So ongoing communication of information with the public, update letterheads, emails, and other communication pieces to be consistent with the new town logo and brand. And utilities invoices, the final invoice to be changed over to the new identity. Ongoing customer service training with departments is continuing. And that is the update for the finance and IT department.
Councillor Adams.
Quick question on back at the beginning under the economic health. Are we searching for additional funding methods in order to continue on with the downtown revitalization project? Because right now with it just being kind of mixed there with light poles and with half a sidewalk paved.
You know what, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't heard of us looking of identifying anything else. I mean, everything that's currently on the books, including that east side is budgeted for in this budget or is included. But I don't know if we've tapped out all of our existing funding opportunities as it relates to this project or not, or if we've maxed out. Sometimes that's also.
I'm just wondering if we can extend south. As well, since we did half of that, and also even with the one light pole that we left alone, that's kind of on its lonesome there as being the original one.
I can check and report back to council. I don't have that answer.
Thank you
right now. That would fall under Kush, our project manager.
Do you want to do yours or? Do you have a question?
No.
Okay, can I stop you and call a break for like 5-10 minutes?
No, yes, you can.
Okay, we're gonna break mid report. And we'll come back.
Okay, welcome back. So we left off with strategic plan update for the Planning and Development Department. So under economic health, focus on available lands for industrial development, presented a report to council on December 13th and to intermunicipal committee. Town applied and was approved for the grant that we've mentioned a few times tonight here. Continued development of a downtown or vibrant downtown. So on November 8th, presented a report to council wherein 2023 actions from downtown plan were selected. They were as follows: additional signage for downtown entrance, focus on art projects and development in the downtown core, promote increased use of plaza downtown area, an outdoor development of an outdoor boulevard cafe encroachments policy, festival events policy development so that it would be easier to host and access to information. Under economic health, support and promote local businesses. On April 19th, a report was presented to council regarding the planning development fees bylaw. The report revealed fees we are charging are in line with other municipalities of like demographics and size. So no changes were made to the fees bylaw. Preparing a review of regulatory framework, which begun to support local businesses by updating the town's municipal development plan and the land use bylaw. So the request for proposal will go out in the fall of 2023. Actively pursue Fournier Place development to increase affordable housing opportunities. In July 2022, a report was presented to council with several strategic options to increase affordable housing opportunities. All the options presented require unanimous consent from the current landowners in Fournier to agree to either amend or remove the restrictive covenant regarding the Fournier Place design guidelines. In October of 2022, an open house meeting was held with the residents of Fournier Place to discuss the options. After the meeting, the planning department made several attempts by phone and in writing to reach each of the residents of Fournier Place who did not attend the meeting to get their opinions on the options presented. We were unsuccessful in contacting 3 landowners. In February 14th, 2023, the planning development sent letters to the residents indicating we are unable to obtain unanimous consent, and as such, the design guidelines would remain as they are. Under livability, under update the land use documents. So in June 2022, as a report was presented to council with respect to the town's statutory plans and land use bylaw. Council has agreed to invest in the review and update of all town statutory plans to ensure the town is able to make decisions quickly with respect to subdivision and development applications, and that our plans reflect council's commitment towards housing diversity, among other things. Money has been placed in the Capital Reserve Fund to finance the update of statutory plans on an ongoing basis, and is anticipated that funds will be added to the reserve annually to ensure all plans are kept current and up to date. A request for proposal is forthcoming to solicit the services of a planning consultant to review and update the MDP and the land use bylaw. This project is projected to take between 18 to 24 months to complete. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Under livability, support community agencies and their services to our most vulnerable. So worked with the Slave Lake Homeless Coalition towards a location for the shelter for the winter 2022-23 season. In October 2022, the Municipal Planning Commission approved the shelter to set up and operate as an emergency services facility until April 30th, 2023. Continue to send reminders of annual applications to ensure the timely processing of permits to allow them to operate. Continue to work towards a permanent location and one final approval so that the MAT program can operate without the need of annual approvals. Under relationships and partnerships, continue to actively partner with the regional neighbors through established intergovernmental partnerships. So we continue to work with the MD on the update and adoption of intermunicipal plans, the most recently being the intermunicipal waterfront area structure plan. Working with the MD on industrial park strategy and study. Under communication priority, ensure accurate information is communicated. Planning department continues to send out annual letters to local real estate and law offices regarding offsite levies and developer contributions so that new purchasers are aware of the potential costs associated with the purchase of their property. Presented a report to council regarding offsite levies and public notice. Council's directed administration to amend the offsite levy bylaw to require payment during the subdivision approval and endorsement stage only, and no longer require payment at the development permit stage. Department continues to send out annual letters to local residents regarding encroachments onto public lands and the town's policy with respect to encroachments onto public lands, and ensure brochures and other literature is current and up to date. That is the update for the planning department. From fire services, pursue a regional approach to tourism as both an economic and community building driver. They collaborate with the town of Slave Lake MD Parks and Operations with our equipment for the beach grooming operations, and they're prepping for the 2023 season. They continue to explore training center opportunities, exploring the annual certification testing for neighbor fire services. So one example is that the MD of Opportunity contract has been approved for April 2023. And potential training education programs with Northern Lakes College. So we're in the final planning stages as of this month here, May 2023. Under the support community agencies and their services to most of our vulnerable residents, we work with project manager on-site locations for the MAT program. So that has continued, and site at the fire center training grounds was utilized, and the fire department assisted with that program for the 2022-23 season. Under supporting support policies, processes, and infrastructure that enhance community safety, they continue to participate in safety coverage for the Smith Fall Fair, minor hockey provincials, and all-in events. They set up school zones for reminders during the first week of school and continue to do that annually. Hosted the Emergency Preparedness Week and Annual Fire Prevention Week. That was actually scheduled for this week. I believe maybe it was today, but we had to postpone it a couple of days due to the activities that are happening out in our community. Under livability, ongoing programming efforts include fire and life safety inspections, pop-up summer spray parks, and annually continuing into 2023 season. Under the peace officers, to support programs and policies and infrastructure that enhance community safety, we had submitted a grant application under the crime prevention grant. Unfortunately for an additional officer, but unfortunately that was not accepted, or we weren't granted the grant this year. And peace officers are participating in an e-ticketing solution. So that program has been fully implemented now, allowing our officers to issue and print citations electronically. Under good governance, recognize the value of our human assets as a core to our delivery services to our residents. 3 new full-time Es started with the Regional Fire Service in 2022, filling vacancies from departing employees. That process is now complete, and we're now completing the hiring process, hopefully for a deputy chief and administrative program assistant coordinator. Under relationships and partnerships, under interdepartmental collaboration, continue to partner with various organizations, including the snow removal of the new trail system and the new mat shelter location, grass cutting of the new trail and ditches, hazards areas around town, and hosted all staff and safety stand down days since the last report. Working with operations departments on a possible shared heavy duty mechanic. That program was not funded in the 2023 budget, and continue to assist with snow removal and grass mowing operations. And that is the update for the fire department. In terms of the operations department, an update for what they've previously submitted. So under the development of a vibrant downtown, they continue to assist with the departments and other local contractors with all aspects of downtown improvement and maintenance. Under the pursue a regional approach to tourism, again, another one of our contributing departments that met with Parks or participates with that partnership with Parks and the MD as it relates to the cleanup and grooming programs that take place out at Devonshire Beach. Recognize the value of our recreation amenities, plan out materials and placement for utilities for new splash parks. So that program and operations involvement in that program has been completed, as well as they've completed work with the project manager and contractors to provide servicing for the planned homeless shelter location for the previous season. Under good governance, ensure they have the technology in place to make quality decisions. Upgraded technology at the water treatment facility to ensure the continuing safe operation. Upgrades include SCADA control systems, which is complete now. Networking and security upgrades, which is in progress, about 80% complete, and PLC hardware software, which is about 50% complete. Recognize the value of our human assets as core to our delivery. Creation of utility operator 3 position required level 3 treatment certification is encouraged. So this was the plan initially, but what's happened is we've actually revised and has been presented to council a new grid and reward system based on qualifications and a premium system. So we've changed our approach to recognizing the the skill sets and the qualifications that our staff bring into the operations and utilities department. Under the plan for financial costs of capital assets key to our community, continue to maintain and update equipment to stay in line with our planned equipment replacement program, which is ongoing. It's in line with our schedule, with most recently our grader, the purchase of a new grader being authorized by council here within the last month. Support policies and processes and infrastructure that enhances community safety. We had deployed since the last report, we had developed a snowblower pilot project and completed the pilot project over 1 or 2 days over the course of the winter. Went well, and the results of that was provided to the residents and council as a consideration for further snow operations. Explore different options for school speed zones. That is a project that is still continuing. A report is going to be brought to council with options, as well as the results of engagement that took place through Engagement HQ or engageslavellake.ca. Sorry. Recognize the key roles community groups and volunteers play. Operations department continues to assist the Chamber of Commerce and other volunteer groups with regards to community functions, which includes road closures, downtown block party, parade route assistance, traffic control, ground prep, utility connections, and plans continue for the upcoming summer season to assist and continue to assist with those initiatives. Under focus on proactive engagement and communication with residents, so regular updates to the public via the town website, Voyant, and Facebook regarding all aspect of operations, which continues. Updating fleet vehicles, signage, and administrative documents with the new town logo is about 90% complete. And regular training for all staff to ensure proper customer service steps are followed. So that's been complete, but continuous training and discussions will be part of day-to-day work lifestyle. And that is the department by department review of strategic plan updates.
Lengthy, but I appreciate the update. I personally like that we're going through at least showing that we're on track with the strategic plan. Overall, do you feel that we're ahead, behind, somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with, I mean, I think we've made a lot of progress on a lot of the initiatives and continue to make. If you recall, council met with SLT prior to budget, I believe, where we sat down and kind of talked about some of those outstanding priorities and maybe some new priorities and new areas to focus and sense of program development or in sense of service reviews. And so those are being integrated now into our kind of committee of the whole sort of and review sort of schedule. So you'll start to see some of those be presented, and some of them have come to council already. So I think from the plan that was established, I think this administration and this town and our staff have made a good effort and have progressed a lot of these items, which will then lead us to, you know, maybe possibly in the fall, revisiting that strategic plan and, you know, looking at, are we still meeting the needs of council, or are there other priorities that maybe start to fit into some of those goals? So I think come the fall, we'll be in a better position to re-examine that plan and maybe look for other opportunities to grow it.
Councillor Hughes?
I personally would like to see us do that in the fall. It's really nice to see us kind of, 90% complete or completed on some of these things. I do think a review of it would be really beneficial, especially for our newest counselor as well. And just to kind of cross-reference, where we've been, are we still going the same way and down the same path? And I do think that's really important. And I know it's something that I personally would like to see us do. So I hope that we can schedule that for sure.
Councillor Hughes?
I will accept this.
You'll make a motion.
I will make a motion to accept this as information.
Any further discussion? I'm sorry, I will look left now. Any further discussion? Yes. Okay, call the motion, those in favor. And it's carried.
Holy cow.
If we could circle back to the management task list.
Oh, man. Here, are you?
It wasn't blended in then?
Well,
the circle back, because you always wonder who uses the phrase circle back, and now we've got back.
Let's just circle
Jeff
back.
here.
Um,
I wonder.
it was sent to you, it was, in-
Circle back.
there's an email version of it as well, but this, it's included in your package. Just an update on some of the initiatives that were initiated by council specifically.
Counselor Hughes.
Looking right.
I did look right purposely.
I do have a question about my motion 205. It does actually say update report coming to the May Committee of the Whole, which is now. So I understand it's been a really crazy time though, and you may not have this ready yet. Just wondering if you could give me an update because it has been a year.
I
since
believe it's coming with so Director Schmidt is attending May 16th council session to present on our audited financial statements. And I believe this
Yeah.
item is scheduled to be included in there, or that's our hope.
Perfect. Kate, thank you. I appreciate that.
Counselor Adams. Okay. Anyone else? I'll make a motion to accept the management task list as information. Any further discussion? All right, call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Do we have anything for question period? Okay, perfect. We're gonna move on into the committee minutes then.
I want to know what it was now.
Okay. Housing.
So yeah, we passed the budget in the March meeting, and then the April meeting was all about reallocating some funds and reserves, and we put a bit of the reserves into GICs to save for the rainy days. We applied to the GOA to keep there was a little bit of a surplus in 2022, it was at $36,000. So we got approved to keep that, but of course they mandate what we can use it for, so it has to be maintenance and utilities. Maintenance is typically what we use it for anyway, because when on the lean years, when there are deficits, that always comes out of the maintenance budget, so. Also received a random $22,000 for the rent assistance benefit program that we weren't expecting. So lots of discussion on options on where to spend it and whether to either lump it back into the operating budget or use it to fund specific people for a 1 to 2 year period. So we chose to do it over a period of time. So the money will allow some people that we would not otherwise be able to help, and the mandate, what it's for, of course, they mandated what we had to use it for. So refugee families fleeing their homes to help to get them settled into the community, households that are in between jobs and need a little bit of help eligible and afford okay, let's try that again. Help eligible tenants afford their rents while they're stabilizing or improving their situations, i.e. going to school. Assisting tenants that are on the wait list but will not be housed in our units. I'll learn how to talk one day. For whatever reason, we can assist them for a short period of time. So that's kind of neat that we get to help a few more people. The lodge has 7 vacant rooms at the moment and only 2 on the wait list for both February and March. We've offered 2 of these rooms to AHS for healthcare professionals that are here short term. So the struggle is, if locums are here for 2-3 weeks or 2-3 months, that no landlords want to rent to them because they don't want to furnish it and no one wants a short-term rental. So I think it's a win-win because the lodge has notoriously had some rooms that we have not been able to fill. And I think last year it was up to about 12 rooms, and we kind of did a call out to the community and filled quite a few of them, but we just always have some for rent. And we have one available for families, and we charge $40 a month, or $40 a night. And it's like a hotel room. So it has a bed, a TV, a coffee station, a little fridge, a little mini hot plate, a TV, the whole 9 yards, and their own bathroom. So we're going to use that one. And then one more we're going to completely furnish. So I really think it's a win-win for both the lodge to recoup some of the rent on vacant rooms. And it's a win for the community because we can house healthcare professionals. So I think it's a good thing.
Okay, Tri-Council Health,
That's me too.
keep on going.
Keith at the hospital told us that we have been approved for 5 internationally trained nurses coming to Slave Lake. Housing is always an issue, so like I said, that was going to be a win-win. The hospital has 2 major construction projects scheduled for this year. One is the front lobby. They're creating a triage space as you enter and by the front desk. And then this summer, the hospital will be getting a new roof. Emergency department is seeing slightly over 13,500 people from April 22 to April 2023 coming through. Maternities, 8 births last month and for 145 for that year, April to April. RNs are 50% vacancy, undergrad student filled, full-time filled, plus the international education trained. So it's looking better, but we still need people. 4 physicians short with the maternity leave, retirements, etc. We should be at 10, but we're only at 6. One has been hired, but they're still doing the assessment and they're about 3 or 4 months out yet still. 3 nurse practitioners short with absolutely no resumes or applicants coming in. So they're doing a big call out for that. Time to wait to your next appointment is about 23 days for a doctor, 27 days for a nurse practitioner. And it's again, because of the Connect Care, that they're making double appointments and longer appointments. So they're seeing less people so they can input your information. But this Connect Care, they told us a bit more about it, and it's going to be really, really cool for the community. So say your kid wakes up with a rash in the morning, you can take a picture of the rash, upload it to the system, and somebody from the hospital will actually contact you and say, you need to come in right now, or, you can come in to walk in tomorrow or whatever. They can kind of tell you whether it's urgent or not.
Bit more of a triage via.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot more, applications to it. And I think it's really going to be good. So it's going to be a long time to get it implemented, and people are going to wait for a long time to get into a doctor, but I think it'll be worth the wait. So patience is needed.
Councillor Hughes.
Sorry, your comment about 13,500, that's the current patient panel?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's up like 1,000 new patients, correct? Okay, wow. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, because it goes year over year and obviously changed each month because they update it all the time, but the patient panel is very significant.
okay. Any particular reasoning or just,
Surrounding communities all come
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, we're just the hub.
okay.
That's
Yeah,
why
I'm
we're
just used to it always being around the 12. So as soon as you start 13, I'm like, okay, so there's more people coming here and we're even shorter and it's a longer time frame.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a busy little clinic.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
Tourism.
Yeah, that's me. So happy to report that our new and improved website is live and fully functioning. We have updated things on it and are very happy with some of the new photos. We've updated the business directory. It feels a lot more user friendly and just all accurate new information. So please check that out at slavelakeregion.ca. We have received our visitor information guides and printed maps for the season and have begun distributing them out to local businesses, as well as our little top 10 things to do in the area brochures that we are putting at local business as well. These will also be out at the Visitor Information Center this summer and will be distributed to other VICs throughout the province. We are planning to hold our annual familiarization tours on June 8th. And if that date does fill up, we will open up June 9th. This is a great opportunity for businesses in town to use it as like a team building exercise as well. So please keep that in mind if you might be interested. You can register for the event for the FAM tours by June 2nd. There's more details on our Facebook page. We have begun working on details for our collaboration with the Slave Lake Airport and the town of Slave Lake for Canada Day events with Elevate Aviation. That is the event I've been mentioning a couple times now, where there will be 40 or so airplanes flying through. More details will be released on that soon. The Tourism Society had attended the Lake Life Expo trade show that was held last weekend, and it was a great opportunity for us to showcase our new printed material and website to the community, and also just make people in our region aware of the projects that we are working on and that we are here. Beach Fest event is also continually being worked on to be held at Devonshire Beach on August 12th. We are looking for a few different community groups to join us with things like hosting a beach volleyball tournament, maybe, paddleboard races, those types of things. So if you know of anyone who may be interested, please reach out to us. We really do want to collaborate with as many community members as possible. And that's it for now.
Great. Library.
Just a couple of things. The number of programs held in the past month were 39 programs, and they had attendance of 1,245, which I think is pretty good for the library. They currently have an artist from Smith on display over on the art wall until mid-June, Marcel Van Rompuy, and I'm sorry if I butchered that name. The other thing of note is incidents are down since the security guard is in place during the evenings and Saturday. They're very thankful for that addition, and the employees, mainly kids, are feeling a lot more safe in their jobs. So I'm happy that's turning positive.
Homelessness Coalition.
So the temporary emergency overnight map program was closed at the end of April. Overall, a successful season. And in regards to the initial grant we received from the provincial government, we did get approval from the Alberta government to continue some programming over the summer. This allows us to keep in touch with the homeless population throughout the year, further develop our policies and procedures, and make a plan for next season. And that's homeless update.
MPC.
MPC, we had approved a variance to a side yard setback. There was a secondary suite and detached garage, and it's very minor. That is all we did.
Waste.
So we had a meeting to go over our audited financials. A big change this year was the new engineering estimate we received to close our current landfill cell. It's now approximately $1,575,000. Previous engineering estimates were around $668,000, so approximately $900,000 higher. Obviously, a big unexpected change. We are currently investigating additional revenue streams for the landfill, as well as ways to cut costs. We expect this report to be finalized in late May. Overall, though, no concerns noted with the audit from the auditors.
Airport.
So we had our audited financials present as well. No concerns noted by the auditors. Overall, we had approximately 48,000 in unrestricted surplus, which we largely allocated to our capital reserve. This is good news, as we will likely be undertaking a substantial capital project to stabilize our shoreline. As previously noted, we did receive nearly $80,000 from the provincial government to complete an airport master plan. Great news for the airport. And in conjunction with the Tourism Society, we're planning a fly-in tour. Approximately 40 aircraft are planning to fly in, and we're planning to make it a family affair with food trucks, kids, activities, etc. And it looks like we finally have a viable, cost-effective solution for shoreline stabilization. The option presented is large bags with medium-sized rocks in it. Rough estimates are around $400,000, which is substantially more cost-effective than the $4+ million that was originally estimated. We are currently bringing this option to engineers, and that's the airport update.
A motion to accept the reports is in for. Thank you, Councillor Adams.
We're just needing prompting all night here.
That's okay.
Motion to accept reports as information.
Any discussion? Call to question those in favor. And that is carried. Okay, State of the Lake. I would just like to make a comment first on how thankful I am for the community response with regards to the Whitefish Ticomac evacuations. They say it takes a village to handle these things, and it turns out it takes a town. When we go through everything, when we look at the requesting the mats from schools, the bedding call out to the community, all the donations being handled by the Native Friendship Center. Our town staff has been absolutely unbelievable in handling this on extremely short notice. When we say it's been hours to handle this response, it was 3 before we had evacuees showing up. So the town staff has been unbelievable, along with our fire department, search and rescue. And a shout out to our volunteer coordinator, Joy, who has been coordinating, as her title says, all the volunteers from the community. The volunteer reach out has been unbelievable as well. And if individuals do want to volunteer, they can go down to the curling rink in the daytime to sign up there. But just a huge thank you to the community. I know that the evacuees really appreciate it, and I think as council, we do as well. Anything else to add? Okay.
That's kind of like a nice one.
Well, I got that out there first, but you can continue on. I think we're gonna rotate by counselor each meeting. Okay, I would entertain a motion. Counselor Adams. All right, call the question. Those in favor?